All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Walking Dead Junkies. I'm Dylan, and this is Chelsey, and this is the show where we deep dive into our favorite characters. Well, actually, we're going to do all the characters, but from our favorite show, at least of all time, the best show that ever exists ever in the world. It is The Walking Dead. Today, we tried this last week, and we realized there's a lot that has happened in 10 years of the show. And we were just kind of rambling and then we couldn't remember everything. We're going to go and talk about Mr. Rick Grimes himself. And we're going to talk about our favorite parts of his character, what makes Rick so iconic, some of the best things he's done in every season. I wrote down like my favorite quote of his. Yeah, so we're just going to talk all about Rick Grimes. I'm very
Yeah,
excited. And as you guys know from our first Walking Dead podcast, Rick's Chelsea's all-time favorite character.
for sure.
Very exciting. So from King County, Georgia, all the way to the Alexandria Safe Zone in Virginia, all the way to wherever the hell he is now, taken away by the people in the helicopter with Jadis, who are part of the CRM that we've seen in Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond, which actually just the episode I watched of this week's Fear the Walking Dead had stuff of the three circles and the helicopters and stuff in it just this week. I was very excited. I started fangirling a little bit because I did not expect it.
I'm gonna have to catch up on Fear. I've only seen like to the middle of season 5.
Season 6 is so good. It is. I never thought it would be this good ever. It never was. Yeah, it's like better than some seasons of Walking Dead. That's for sure.
Really?
Oh yeah, it
Wow.
Alicia, even Morgan, Dwight, like these characters are so amazing. So,
I'm just so glad Alicia's still there.
oh yeah, Strand on the other hand annoys me, and he used to be my favorite character. But
He's gonna be the guy that outlives everybody.
yeah, he
So annoying.
he's kind of like the Eugene of the show, but he's different than Eugene. But he just always has his own motives and does what he has to survive. Anyway, that's a discussion for another podcast. So Rick Grimes, who kicked all of this off, we couldn't even have the Fear the Walking Dead characters if Rick Grimes wasn't as good of a character he was to carry the show. He just did everything that he needed to protect his family, protect it, whether it was blood like Carl and Judith, or chosen like Daryl, and well, Michonne becomes more of his actual family, but like
Yeah.
Daryl or Herschel or
Carol or
Rosita or whoever.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like we said, Rick will return probably next year sometime. They're supposed to be filming the movies right now. We'll see where his story goes. Him and the adventures of Rick and Jadis, or I guess her name's Anne now, but
Trash girl, that's her name.
trash girl with the goofy hair. I loved Jadis throughout the entirety of the series. Everyone was giving her shit, and I'm like, yeah.
I always knew she was up to something. That's
Mhm.
why we were giving her
Who would have thought of all the characters in the show, though, she'd actually end up being one of the most important for like the universe they're building.
right.
Like, because she was just this random girl leading a group in a junkyard.
Trash girl. She was trash girl.
I want to know if when they brought her on the show, if they actually knew that she would end up like going off with Rick and like being a part of these movies and like being part of the bigger universe to help build like this whatever like Avengers level universe they're building, or if it just kind of developed that way. I would love to know. So
We'll have to
Scott
do some
Gimple, if you're
research.
listening, we need answers
Yeah,
right now. Period.
lots of them.
Anyway, so I know Chelsey, you went through every season and you chose like your favorite Rick moment from every season, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is awesome. So let's do that. Let's talk about Rick Grimes season 1.
Okay. So besides the end of the very first episode, which you guys know is like my second favorite scene of
Mm-hmm.
all time, um, I love Vatos. I love Vatos so much. I love when Rick decides that he's gonna share his guns. with the homies that have been taking care of the elderly people. I think it's just a precious moment, and it speaks to the humanity and compassion that they still had in those early days. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's something that even though it kind of wavered throughout the entire series, Rick always kept that humanity and he always wanted to help other people. Even when we were in season 8 when they're doing the war with Negan, and Daryl and Tara and Morgan make this whole plan to infiltrate the sanctuary and just kill them all. Rick is totally opposed to it and wants to save as many lives as possible because they're innocent people. And
Yeah.
that I think a lot of that stems from what happened and what he learned at the Vatos so early in his zombie apocalypse journey.
Yeah. I will say the scene where they're going back and he said, well, you said come locked and loaded, and he hits the Rick Grimes lean, that was like the first time we saw him do that on a person. And it was, I don't know. It's great. It's a great episode.
That was our first Rick Daryl team up because it was just Rick, Daryl,
Yeah.
T-Dog, and Glenn that went out.
Right.
And T-Dog was up on the roof with a sniper. T-Dog's so cool. The most underrated character in the whole series, probably.
I agree. I love T-Dog.
Right up there with Enid. But yeah, so you have Rick and Daryl against all these people, and I'm not sure exactly what their plan was, but hey, it worked.
Right. So season 2, there's a lot of iconic stuff that happens there. Rick's Not a Democracy scene. That's in season 2. But I chose from Cherokee Rose when Carl woke up and from his surgery and stuff, and Rick gave him his hat. To me, it's such a touching moment every time I see it.
Yeah, and then that becomes part of Carl's signature look.
It does. I mean, that's the start of Carl becoming Carl,
Exactly.
And I don't know, just a good moment.
Then all the way down in season 8, when Carl, for some reason, is dying, he gives the hat to Judith. So that's a really good pick.
It brings it full circle.
my first thought when I was thinking of the most iconic Rick thing from season 2 was when he killed Shane. I just find that so, because he knew exactly what Shane was doing when Shane took him out into the woods. Like Rick had it all figured out. He knew exactly what was going on, and that is like the part where it still affects Rick. Well, I can't say today because he's not on the show right now, but it affects Rick all the way down to like the Negan War and stuff. He's telling Michonne about Shane, and because Michonne never met him, and so yeah, that definitely has to be up there as one of the most important Rick Grimes evolution points, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but I don't know. I didn't want to just speak to the big main points.
Right. No, yeah, no, exactly. I never would have thought to put the scene where he gives Rick the hat. I love that.
Yeah. So season 3, I have Rick telling Morgan that this isn't it. He can come back and be human again. He doesn't have to just clear zombies, obviously from clear. Probably not a scene that you would say was super big, but it was big to me.
Well, when I think of like the scene in season 3 that I'm automatically go to with Rick, it's not that. But when you think of where Morgan's character has gone, and now he leads his own show, and you can see there's so much of Rick and Morgan that stemmed from, well, the first episode, like the pilot episode, and then that episode, that was so important to the characterization of Morgan. Yeah, you have to choose that. I love the scene in that episode where Morgan stabs Rick in the shoulder. I love it.
I had forgotten about that. I had forgotten that he stabbed him, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Rick's getting stabbed. He's been shot, at least twice, because he got shot in the first episode. He got shot by Jadis. Oops. Flung my pen across the room.
So season 4. Rick ripping out Joe the Claimer's throat.
Yeah, 100. Well, there has to be that 100%. That's the first one I think of too.
I mean, because that's the first time that Rick really got savage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when things started to escalate
Yeah.
as far as the human violence.
The first thing I think of in season 4 when I'm thinking about Rick is in Too Far Gone, the mid-season finale, when the governor attacks and Carl comes across the bloody child, the what's the word I'm looking for? Car seat. Guys, we
Yeah.
talked about it in the last podcast. I've had one of the hardest weeks of my whole life. My brain's super scattered. Just stick with me. And when he just comes, Carl is like shooting the gun just over and over and over again at that one walker, and Rick just comes behind him and like bear hugs him, and they're both just crying, and they just go off into the distance, just the two of them, just broken and devastated. That's the first thing I think of. I love that so much.
Sucks so bad.
It
So sad.
does.
So moving on to season 5, 4 walls and a roof. We are killing Gareth with that red machete in the church. It's very reminiscent of killing all those walkers in the church when they were looking for Sophia.
I never thought about that.
It is very, very similar. I don't know. I love it. You can't.
You know, the best part of that whole scene is for your two favorite characters, it's Gabriel and Maggie. And and Gabriel like walks out after like Rick slashed Gareth and Abraham, Michonne, and Sasha all did all their damage. And Gabriel walks out and he goes, "This is the Lord's house." And Maggie just goes, "No, it's just 4 walls and a roof." I love it. One of my favorite quotes of the whole series. Because back then everybody still hated Gabriel. Like you were supposed to hate Gabriel at that point. And we're like, shut up, dude. But
So
my favorite season 5 scene with Rick, there's so many. It's such a great. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of things that happen in season 5, but it is a great Rick season. I love when he hits Officer Bob Lamson with the car when they're out, like when they're looking for Beth. He hits him with the car and like breaks his back because he's like on the radio telling him to stop running, just stop. And he doesn't, and he just rams him with the car and then just point blank shoots him after saying, I don't remember what he says.
yeah.
Such a great. That's when Rick was at his absolute most savage.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, well,
I don't disagree.
it started when he ripped out Joe the Claimer's throat, and that was still just a continuation. And all he wanted was for Bob to stop running so they could get Beth back. That's all he wanted, and he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then the only other one in season 5 that really sticks out to me is when they first get to Alexandria and Deanna is doing their interviews with the camera, and he just looks a mess. He is just the most scary version of Rick. Still, because he's still that same mindset. This is all happening so close together. But at this point, he's lost Beth, lost Bob, lost Tyreese, and they've been on the road, and it's just not. They've just been down in spirits. They almost ran out of like food, water. Like they were all just running on fumes, barely walking on the highway, all of them. So Rick was just broken. And I just find that whole scene so funny between him and Deanna. But
well, that's a nice little lead into my season 6. Rick saving Deanna from the walker and claiming his rightful spot as the leader of Alexandria.
mm-hmm. Like, is that the one you're talking about when she's like killing the one with the bottle?
Yeah.
But she's just kind of going savage and just stabbing it like in the chest and stuff because she's just mad. Okay. Yeah, that's a great scene. Deanna is one of those characters that I'm happy. I don't think she was a character that could have been on the show for a very long time, but I genuinely enjoyed her character the entire time she was there. Thought she was a great addition to the show for the season she was there.
The rest of her family, not so much, but her, I liked her.
Yeah, she was good. What happened to Spencer and I think his name was Aiden.
Yeah.
I liked her husband too. I liked Red. She was cool for just a few episodes he was there. He was another one that he couldn't have survived long. He just wasn't that kind of character. I liked him though. I was sad when Pete slit his throat. But
Oh,
that
Pete.
it. Season 6, Morgan comes back, and Deanna tells. That is season. No, this is season 5. This is the finale of season 5. No, yes, yeah. I'm thinking the finale of season 5. When Morgan comes back, that's the finale of season 5. But when Deanna tells Rick to shoot Pete after Reg dies, and Morgan and Daryl and Aaron are right there, and Morgan just goes, Rick, and Rick just like does one of his looks, his death stares, like, what? Exactly.
Very good at it.
What's the first? I don't know what the first Rick moment is in season six that comes to my mind because there was so much going on. Maybe just when Carl's eye gets shot out and he just goes out into the herd in Alexandria and just starts killing them all. So then everybody follows him. Everyone from the other main characters to Olivia.
Right.
And everyone in between. I loved that. Eugene was even out there. Gabriel was out there. I loved it. But
that's a hard one for me. I don't know. It's a hard
why?
one for me. Just because Carl, I love Carl so much. And
yeah, why wasn't he out there fighting? Lame. Just kidding. I'm sorry.
Ooh. So with that, we're gonna go to season 7, new best friends, and Rick fighting the garbage walker with the big thing on his head.
Mm-hmm. I knew exactly what you were gonna say when you said new best friends. I like Jadis. I'm one of the few people that like her, and that I'm pretty sure that was her first episode.
Yeah, I think so. So, but I mean, to me, like, I don't know. I have so many photos of Rick with his hand on that zombie. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so that one of the most iconic scenes ever in the entire series was Rick. And then you have, I think, was it just Michonne? I know like Michonne, Rosita, and Tara, Aaron, Gabriel, they were all there. But you see Michonne and Rosita, I think it was, like looking through the little tunnels and like kind of helping him and telling him what to do and trying to help him.
Yeah.
Great scene. When he's just like trying to just climb up the garbage and he's just falling down. He picks up a keyboard and hits it. Like, what's a keyboard gonna do?
Right. You're gonna have to swing that a little harder there, buddy.
A little bit.
So for season 8, rest in peace, Carl. We have honor for the episode. Just basically Rick's whole conversation with Sadiq and Carl, and him asking Carl, why did you do this? Did you do it because he was a doctor? Like, and then the eventual progression of Michonne and Rick standing outside while Carl's just like,
yeah. Never should have happened, but it did. What season 7 and 8. Well, also at this time, this is when the show Rick's still the main character, but it like really focuses on, like, you have Daryl and Maggie and Carol, Michonne. They're like Carl until that point. They're all very heavy focuses. Also Negan, and so like the Rick Grimes scenes don't come to me as quick because he's still prevalent, still the most prevalent character, but like there's not as many. Like what does even happen in season 7? Like I don't even know. Like they're those seasons were horrible.
They all blend together.
Exactly. 7 and 8 just should have been one short, sweet season.
It really should have just one season for all of that information. But
and we could have got Rick in the Whisperers could have been in season 8, and we could have had Rick for the entirety of the Whisperer War.
Right.
And
his head could have been put on a stake.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you, in an alternate world, the heads on the pikes were Rick, Daryl, Maggie, Carl, Carol. It's all just them, and it's the character. It's like Rosita and Ezekiel and Eugene who like walk up on them.
Oh, that would suck.
Or I guess really in a real world it could be Tara, Enid and Henry that find their heads.
Yeah.
That should have happened. That's how it should have actually gone.
We would have died. That would have been the end of the show.
Yeah, can you imagine though? That would have been some real Game
Oh,
of Thrones shit.
right. So season 9, we all know that's the last season that we saw our dear friend Rick. And there is no other choice than him leading the walkers away and saving his family.
Yeah.
Like,
Basically just the entirety of what comes after the season
yeah,
in episode 5.
for sure.
If I had to pick one specific scene, it has to be when he's talking to his hallucination of Herschel in the barn, because that ended up being Scott Wilson's very last thing he ever did before he passed away. And then I loved, he just like says, I'm so sorry for everything Maggie's had to go through, what happened to Beth, what happened to Glenn. Herschel's like, she's strong, they're fine, don't worry about it, basically, and telling him to literally get up on his horse and go. That'd probably be the one, if I had to pick one, that's probably what I'd pick.
Yeah.
But
Such a feel moment.
mm-hmm. So what do you
that's my
think
list.
out of everything in those, out of 9 seasons, what do you think is the best Rick Grimes scene? Period. If you had to pick one most iconic scene for Rick.
I guess I'm gonna go with Not a Democracy.
Yeah. Mine, my very first thought was when he kills Shane. That one just gets me different.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what out of all the characters on the show, what is your favorite relationship Rick has with another character?
Ooh.
I wrote down 3 because I can't pick, but
Well, okay. I love Rick and Glenn. I love Rick and Glenn together.
Mhm.
Obviously, Rick and Daryl.
Hey, dumbass. Yeah, you in the tank. Cozy in there.
But yeah, I guess Rick and Glenn, and then followed by Rick and Daryl.
Yep. I put Rick and Daryl also, and then Rick and Michonne, and Rick and Carl.
Yeah, I mean Rick and Carl, but that kind of goes without saying, though. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? They're so good together.
And then what is one character you wish Rick had a bigger story with? That a character that you wish he had more time with on the show?
Easy, Andrea.
Ooh, that was a good pick. I was gonna say Jesus, but I like the Andrea pick.
But if not Andrea, I guess probably like Abraham. You know, they never really spent a whole lot of time together, and I feel like Abraham's super funny. He could have made, I don't know,
They
could
could
have
have
been
had
a
a lot
good
of funny
dynamic.
scenes together.
Yeah.
Rick they'd be in a intense situation, and Rick could be very focused, very in his mindset, and Abraham would be like, this is just a thing that tickles my nuts, or
Yeah,
whatever.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that. I was gonna say Tyreese, even though
Yeah.
obviously I don't like Tyreese in the show, but in the comics, and you can kind of back me up on this, since Daryl's not in the show, Tyreese is more Rick's right-hand man than anyone else, right? For at
Yeah.
least until he dies at the hands of the governor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have loved to see more of that dynamic, because there is a little bit of Rick and Tyreese. Like, you get the iconic Rick and Tyreese fight kind of from the comics, not really, but you don't really get much of the two of them.
Yeah.
Because Tyrese's character, Tyreese becomes a very much of a supporting character for Carol more than anything. So I would have liked that.
Which is crazy how that turned out, but
Yeah, who would have thought? Because in the comics, you know, at one point I really thought they were going to go this way. Like, before Tyreese got killed off, Tyreese and Carol were a couple in the comics. I know if you're not a comic book reader, that's really weird. Like, actually, Tyreese and Carol were a couple, and then Tyreese cheated on Carol with Michonne.
Oh,
Weird,
doo,
right?
doo, yeah.
Can you imagine if they did that in the show? But yeah. So what is your favorite? Oh, a scene that I have written down that I want to talk about that I forgot. When he cuts off Herschel's leg in the season 3 premiere.
Yeah, see, I almost put that because that's the first time that I don't know if they had been talking about that and like somebody gets bit, we're gonna chop it off, but
Mhm.
I don't know if he just made that decision in the split moment, but I don't know, it's crazy just to see how many times I forgot he had to like really chop on Herschel's leg.
Yeah, I remember watching that for the first time and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Because like they had shown some violent stuff up to that point, but we're season 3, episode 1, so we're still newer to what they can do on the show. And I don't think we had seen a limb cut off before.
No.
Just a random leg just laying there. And they showed everything. But so I just that's one of my favorite Rick scenes. And then the same episode or the next episode when he kills Thomas, the prisoner, love that too. So I just had to throw that in there. What is your favorite Rick Grimes quote? If you can think of one.
I'm doing stuff, Lori. Things. Isn't that enough?
You know, that spawned more memes than almost anything in the show. Stuff and
Yeah.
things. I'm doing stuff, Lori. Things. Ain't that enough? I put they're screwing with the wrong people.
Yeah.
Or this isn't a democracy anymore. It could also be
Easily could be We Are the Walking Dead. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It could easily be a lot of things,
Yeah.
but right
The
off the top of my
Coral.
head. Yeah.
Coral.
Coral.
Need to find Coral.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're well in the Blu-ray version of the season, they actually say that they're fucking with the wrong people, which makes it even better. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite Rick scene. And the only other thing that I have on my list is what do you think Rick's best season was? Seasons 1
Ooh,
through 9. I'll tell you mine.
I'm with you.
See,
Probably this one, right?
5. Yep.
Yeah.
5. There's just so. I mean, you could make a good case, I think, for a season 2 and season 3 also, but season 5 just has so much. He's at his most evil, most brutal, most. It was the most. I think the audience was like, should we actually be following this guy? Are we actually okay with this?
Right.
And because he just does so many savage things from killing Gareth the way he does, which was deserving, but still, and then killing Officer Bob how he does, and then going after Pete, and really the whole thing of basically him just wanting to kill Pete because he liked Jesse, and so just kill Pete, get him out of the way. Just
Right.
such a great, the whole everything about Rick in that season is great.
It was. It was.
You remember when is when he goes to confront Pete at Jesse's house and they start fighting. They fly through the window and they're like fighting in the middle of the street. And Michonne comes up and hits Rick in the head after he like starts pointing his gun at like Deanna and whoever else is right there. And like he's kind of going crazy. And then Michonne, boom. I love it. And she's standing there so like intense. And then yeah, I love it.
Everything about that moment was intense though.
I did really like, I just keep thinking of all these little things that I really liked in season 5 when they first get to Alexandria, and people like Michonne and Glenn, Maggie, they're like really all for it and they really want to make it work. But Daryl, Carol, Rick are very, we're not sure. And I love how they're like, we're just going to take this place. And it's just the 3 of them. And was it Rick that says that? Like, if they won't listen, we'll just take this place.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And the 3 of the, I loved that trio for that little, I mean, obviously there's a lot of Daryl, Carol, Rick throughout the show, but I loved that little, they were like the 3 evil for like for a couple episodes. It was like, they were kind of evil ones. It was cool.
Yeah. It was a different dynamic. I love it.
Well, I think that ends our breakdown of the character of Rick Grimes, played by the one, the only Andrew Lincoln from seasons 1 through 9 of The Walking Dead. I wrote an intro, but I didn't write any kind of outro. So what character should we do next? What do you think? Should we do someone like Daryl, or should we go some of our other favorites like Glenn or Beth? You guys let us know in the comments. Maybe I can put a little poll up in the corner, and I'll put some of the characters maybe we could do. We're going to start it strong with Eugene next week.
Okay.
We're going to do a Eugene, Gabriel, Lori, Tyreese episode.
Eugene, Gabriel. Okay, that sounds good.
It'll be a great time.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us for the Walking Dead Junkies, you guys.
Until next week.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.